and a half a carry there with that one. How much do you see that as we get into Big Ten play? Do you think they're going to be able? Is this the product of a poor rushing defense there, or are they starting to really get humming here with the running game? What do you think?
Well, I think both, but I think that Cincinnati is better than several Big Ten teams, I would say. I don't think that, just because you're starting Big Ten play doesn't mean you're running up against stellar run defenses.
Not this
year. I think they're going to be able. I think this offense, how they spread the field, and Meyer said it after the game too. We aim to do that. We want to get to the edge with Dontre Wilson and with Jalen Marshall and with Curtis Samuel and Elliott, and then we want to pound them up the middle when they start spreading out their defensive, splits, and keep going from one to the other and back to keep them off balance and open up that middle. And once they start tightening it up, we go to the edge, and I think they're going to be able to do that against, all of which, of course, sets up the short to intermediate passing game for Barrett. I think they're going to be able to do that against, 6 or 7 out of their 8 Big Ten opponents. And slug it out with the other guys. But the running game, I think the offensive line's starting to come together. And but like I said, I think Cincinnati would fare very well against the bottom half of the Big Ten. And so 6 or 7 teams, I think Cincinnati's right on a par with the lower echelons of the Big Ten talent wise. And I think we'll see that play out as we go forward. People thought that Indiana was all that after they beat Missouri. They come out and get drilled by Maryland in Maryland's first Big Ten game. So we're going to see what Rutgers has this week. But some of the newcomers to the Big Ten, I think, are maybe a little bit stronger than people suspected they might be. And I think Rutgers might surprise Michigan coming up here.
Yeah, Michigan. Haven't they already, what was the dubious record they set? Already having this many defeats in the first month of the season? It's either never been done or it's been like a million years since they've done it. I don't have it in front of me, but I know they set some kind of dubious record here this past.
Well, I don't know. I was going to ask you what you thought of all the talk about Michigan here. I mean, clearly it's a program right now in disarray, and people around the country are speculating about not if but when Brady Hoke gets fired, and certainly something that nobody saw coming at the beginning of the year. I think maybe people thought that Michigan might be even a little bit better than they were last year, but still probably a 3 to 4 loss football team. Now they're hoping for 3 or 4 losses, I think, and
they're already there.
They're 2-2, and looking at they have to travel to East Lansing, they have to travel to Columbus. They've got some brutal games coming up, and when you lose to Minnesota at home, time to take a look in the mirror. And I think that the fan base in Michigan is just livid, and all this talk about Harbaugh. One of the Harbaughs is going to come in and coach the team. If we can't get Jim, well, we'll go after the other one.
We'll go one of them, man. We don't care.
Yeah, neither one of them, it is rumored today, has any interest in coaching the Michigan Wolverines, least of all as long as Dave Brandon is the AD there. I think you might see a house cleaning up at Michigan, including the AD, because Hoke is Brandon's guy, and I don't think Brandon's going to fire Brady Hoke, so it might just be a matter of the board and the alumni and the trustees putting a movement together to clean house altogether and get Brandon out of there and bring in a new AD. So, but yeah, now Hoke is being criticized most of all by his own people, as well as certain media people, for leaving Shane Morris as quarterback in the game after he took a lick to the chops Saturday against Minnesota, and clearly showed some signs of being concussed. And Hoke said after the game that he didn't see that, or he wasn't aware of that, when the entire television audience and all of the teammates, everybody on the field, it seemed like everybody but Brady Hoke was aware that Shane Morris had had his world rocked there and might not be 100% and might need to come off the field. So he's a lot of people calling for his head just for that alone,
right
for
there,
not being on top of that situation.
That's what I was going to say, is that alone right there. But that's where you're on the precipice, where people are already, questioning just for the football stuff and do we make a change. That's where you add something like that. And, man, my Twitter blew up the reaction. I mean, you could see it, and I'm sure everybody was the same way to him, keeping him in that game there. And I'm like, see, now those are the things when you put the two of them together that make it a foregone conclusion that you end up losing your job there, because it's one thing to hide behind one thing or hide away from another, but when you've already got, well, should we or shouldn't we, and then you get something like that quickly that ball starts rolling downhill, man. And you know what, hey,
yeah, that's
sorry,
true. When you get the politically correct outrage machine going against you, that's when you're really in trouble, as we have found out.
And you're losing at the same time? Oh, now you're really done for. I mean, you notice the political correctness train doesn't move as fast when it's moving against, say, a perennial, undefeated, winning championship-level coach. Sometimes they get more benefit of the doubt, but that PC train moves at double speed when the coach is also struggling behind the ledger as well.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the best thing I saw from an Ohio State fan all weekend was, the little note to Michigan that, hey, by the way, it's okay if you fire Brady Hoke, just as long as you hire Charlie Weiss. He's available now.
He's available. Kansas let him go. I saw that. Yeah.
So, yeah, we want to make sure we got a proven loser.
Good head coach coming in next.
Long time to come.
I'll tell you, that's funny. Dan Wismar, J-Rock, we're talking a little bit about the Buckeyes. And you know what? Headed into Big Ten play here, I'll tell you, nobody would ever run on the Buckeyes if they could find a way to get just one more season of eligibility out of Anthony Schlegel. Let me tell you, I had to bring it up before we go off here. I mean, I was flooded over the weekend with the memes and all. We get some creative people out here that make some pretty cool.
I saw some Photoshop.
Man.
I saw some Photoshops this morning of that famous photo, and of course the photo went viral in a heartbeat, and everybody by now has seen it of Schlegel body slamming the kid. I saw the photo 25 times before I then was able to go and check out some video, and I think the best part of it was how they dragged him off after they slammed him to the ground. Schlegel never let go of him after he slams him. He grabs him and they get some help from another guy, and they drag him off the field and sling him over on the sidelines in a heap. I thought it was just
never
hilarious.
let go.
Schlegel's gotten nothing but praise from all quarters, until, of course, the guy's mom sues Ohio State or something. We might hear about it.
But Schlegel never let go that whole time, like you're talking about, Dan. He yokes him up, takes him down, keeps a hold of him as the security guard grabs him and picks him right up off the ground and just drags him out, man. And I'm like, that was funny to me. I got a kick out of it. Plus, with my wrestling background, all kinds of people hitting me up. I even saw Stone Cold Steve Austin tweeted his approval over the weekend yesterday. He said it was worth 5 Buckeye stickers and a game ball right there. But that was what I was like. Man, he clearly those long defense or long offensive scoring drives there had him a little hot. He's like, you know what? We're stronger than that. We train so that we can stop those
Schlegel
long drives.
is the assistant strength and conditioning coach.
Right.
And he's certainly a little bit more jacked up physically than he was when he played here, where he was never known as a particularly strong guy. But he's worked on it. And how was the form, J-Rock? I mean, on the hip throw, looked like he had his hips right into it and used all the leverage he could muster. I mean, it really is a great photo they captured there. But it looked to me like he had good form. Would you agree?
Great form. Not only, that could work in Olympic wrestling. Also, if you're a fan of Japanese pro wrestling, it looks quite a bit like a Uranagi suplex. It's very, very similar there. Kind of similar to a judo throw. If you're in
a little bit Greco-Roman,
absolutely,
where you're not allowed to touch the guy below the waist, right?
And I think The Rock himself may have been pretty impressed because that was very, very similar to his trademark maneuver, the Rock Bottom. So I would say that Coach Schlegel definitely would have an edge if he decided to go into the sports entertainment world when his college coaching career is over. But no, I got to kick. You brought it up. Not just the slam, but the fact that without even letting go, he takes him down, picks him up one-handed. They yoke him off the field. I said, man, coach was not in a good mood at that point, man.
Yeah, that's true, and that was during the time when the game was still in doubt and the Buckeye defense was getting a little bit shredded. So, and I haven't heard anything about who the guy was, if
seriously,
he was just some
Dan,
drunken, was he a Cincinnati fan or what? It doesn't really matter because it's one of those things that instantly makes Deadspin. You're going to see it tonight on PTI. You're going to see it on Oberman. You're going to see it on all the shows. And the guy Schlegel is a folk hero. In the sports world, at least for 24 hours or so.
I'm not even joking here. I gotta ask you, Dan, and you guys out there listening, seriously. Now we're talking about college kids. You're talking 19 to 22, 23. Now I know that's adult, but they're still in the kid/adult kind of young adult range. How do your players? I mean, imagine you're watching that. Bam, coach just snatches him up, yokes him up. Like you said, right at that point, the game was still up in the balance there. Okay, when coach comes back to the huddle, I mean, seriously, if there's something that's going to fire you up and make you play harder, it's that. Because if nothing else, I'm going, damn, man, hope he doesn't snatch me up like that. All right, guys, listen, man, stop missing tackles. Let's get out there and play. Did you see what coach just did to that? That's a fan over there. What's he going to do if he comes over here and talks to us? Instantly, the defense improved by leaps and bounds. Right after that, he's going, man, I respect Coach a whole lot more. Coach, I'm sorry. I'm going to make the tackle next time.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's got to do something to jack you up a little bit when you see your coach, maybe saying he was setting an example might be a little bit too strong. But
I'm just saying.
Yeah, he certainly fired him up by the respectometer just went way up from the players who saw their coach get out on the field and slam a guy, even if he's an out of uniform guy. Reminded me of, the famous Mike Curtis incident in Baltimore Colts going way back when the fan ran on the field and Curtis just mauled him, just tackled him, and you can still see YouTube film of that. Probably the most famous assault by a player or coach on a fan who decided. Made the mistake of running onto the field during a football game. That if you Google Mike Curtis and the Colts, you can still see some video of him.
I've never seen that.
A guy.
I'm going to look that one up. What about the Browns game? Wasn't there one just a few seasons ago? I mean, I know all these 4 and 12
yeah, there was, and I
can't
remember who was involved in that.
But the player
look up Mike Curtis.
Decleated the fan, right? There was a fan that was running away from the police, and if I remember right, a player on I think it was the opposing team, although it may have been a Browns player, but I just remember that they decleated this guy and put him down quickly, and it was like, oh, wow. But I can't remember who it was now. If any of you guys remember what I'm talking about, hit me up. But I definitely remember that a fan learned a very important lesson that day of not getting on the field. I saw one, it's not even Cleveland. Somebody sent us one a month or two ago over the summer of a fan trying to hit the field during a baseball game, and the security guard just decleats him. He running shoulder tackles him, just runs into him and just puts him to the ground. That was just like you said a week or so ago. Yeah, that wasn't long ago. Somebody sent us
very recent. So yeah, there's talk about zero tolerance. That's what you call
zero.
That.
Do not run on the field unless you are prepared for the consequences that come with your actions. I'm just telling you, man. But anyway, so we got a little bit of extracurricular activity at the Buckeyes game the other day. All right, Dan, we'll preview coming up here, beginning Big Ten play. We'll get into that on Wednesday, and man, still don't end in this conversation without going and some Indians to talk about. But there'll be plenty to talk about with the playoffs. And then as the Indians proceed with their offseason, Cavs are back at it. Dan, take my word for it. The circus is 150% back in town, brother. I was there the other day, man. There was more people than you even know.
You went to media day?
Oh, yeah, if you could call it that. I was just one of the herd of cattle, man. And
yeah.
It was something to be seen, just the people that were there, and I don't know. I mean, I'm fired up. See, I don't want to go I don't want to go into my true gut feelings because I walked out of there. I told somebody this. See, this is part of and you know what? I think there's a lot of you out there like me. I'm very happy for the city of Cleveland, and I really, want to see good things happen. So I would never begrudge the fan base anything, but how you felt, especially if you're a hardcore man. I wasn't really happy when LeBron left.